Hello, good morning. Good morning, everyone. This morning, I am joined by my amazing mother, Joellen. You are in frozen Colorado this morning?
Yes, it's 28 degrees here right now, so it's cold.
Awesome. So we have good morning, Kate. Good morning, Nancy, Wendy, Stacy. Awesome. So today, we're going to be getting you all a little bit moving around. I brought Joellen on here with me because she loves the fitness side of riding. So hopefully you have or you can get a little bit of space in your office or wherever you are where you can stand up and lay down on the floor. We're going to be doing just like two simple exercises that will help you to feel kind of the tone that you need to have in your core for your riding. And it is so helpful, especially during the winter when you can't be as consistent. If you know some little simple exercises that you can do off of your horse to help keep that tone and control in your body that you need for riding. If you missed the independent seat webinar yesterday, please watch it. This is kind of a continuation of that. And we'd also love to have you in Rider Position Blueprint, which is 50% off for this week only. So make sure to sign up. I will put the link there in the chat for you. And I wanted to bring Joellen on. First, we're going to talk a little bit about our youth fund, our Dressage for All grant. And this grant is really special. We're going to be able to help some young riders and give them support. We're going to be giving away 5 $1,000 donations to 5 youth so they can have some lessons or some clinics or some training. And Joellen has some funny stories to share about me as a kid trying to ride and get more lessons.
So Amelia always wanted more lessons, and she worked for Julie, and she would figure out all the grain for the horses, but she was very cute. She made these tail bags, and you need 3 of these, and so it has to be the right size so you can put your hand in it, and then you scrunch it up. It would take me forever to scrunch the whole thing up, and you pull 1/3 of the horse's tail through, and then you have 3 of these, and you braid it and you tie the bottom in a knot. So this was tail bags, and she sold them. I have no idea what you sold them for, like maybe $3 or something.
No, it was like $10 or $15.
$10 or $15 to make money so she could have extra lessons. So Amelia worked really, really hard to go to the barn and ride her bike sometimes to the barn and sell tail bags and make grain for Julie and blanket horses so she could have extra lessons. So I think what's interesting to me doing this is how many mainly women come back to riding, and we suffer a little bit because we don't always take care of ourselves and make ourselves a priority. So people stop riding when they start their career or they have children, and it's really warm to see them come back to riding. But we're hopeful with some of the scholarships that we can encourage kids to ride and hopefully keep riding their whole lives.
Yeah, and you didn't start riding until I left for college because you were always just so supporting Joseph and I riding. And so I'm really glad that you started riding and now it's such a big part of your life, and you have a ranch and you teach a little bit, and it's like your passion now, which is really cool.
The thing for me about riding that I find so interesting, I'm now 67. I have the wrinkles to prove it, although I do dye my hair. It gives me the motivation to stay fit. If I didn't have to ride a horse, I would not be in as good a shape as I am for all the other things that I need to do in my life. So I love riding because it makes me stay healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such an amazing gift. And I also after we announced the youth fund, there have been some amazing stories shared in the Strides Facebook group and also in the public club. And just hearing about your stories, you know, growing up riding, the sacrifices that you made for your lessons. There was one pretty powerful story of a rider who grew up super poor. Like they had a 1-bedroom house with holes in the floor, and her father would give her like coupons for lessons, and she just always was, you know, doing chores at the barn, working to afford it. And so it's wonderful that we're at a place where we can give back, and we're hopefully we'll be able to, with a grant, recognize those kids like you know, all of us that were out there as kids just doing whatever it took to have an extra lesson or to be able to have a horse or a ride. And we can help them a little bit, give them a little boost along the way. So that is very, very special. And if you want to learn more about the fund, I'll have Nicole's here. She can put the link in the chat. But there'll be a big announcement this week from the Dressage Foundation on it, and just very exciting. So shall we dive into our fitness exercises?
Sure, but I want to say one more thing. I always learn a little bit more about you, Amelia, when I hear you speak. And one thing that was remarkable when you announced the grant was how meaningful it was to you for the little things along the way that you want, like being able to go see George Williams in that clinic, that was an affirmation from the outside that you were doing a good job and you were trying and you were working. And that recognition goes a long way to helping some kid feel better about themselves and their riding. So I really appreciate that about you.
Yeah, and it applies to all of us. You know, that's one thing that in our community, we're always working to promote that positivity and the encouragement, because sometimes it's the difference between a good day and a bad day, right? If someone just gives you that little like, wow, you know, you've really improved your rider position this month, or your horse is looking great. It's just that little boost that sometimes is the difference between you quitting and giving up, or like keep going for another day. And so that's really what we want to foster and encourage. And the more that we can help one another and offer that encouragement to one another, you never know what a big impact that could have in someone else's life.
That's right.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so on to our fitness routine. So I'm going to show my exercise first because it's kind of a precursor then to Joellen's exercise. And one thing that I know Joellen and I both do is that I always try to mimic what I need to focus on for riding better in my fitness. And it's really important that your fitness routine is structured so that it helps you to ride better. And you can actually work on a lot of those habits. Like, let us know in the chat, what is a big bad habit that you have in your rider position that you're trying to fix or trying to improve? And then there's always something that you can do off of the horse to help that, especially because most of us don't have the luxury of riding 10 horses a day. And so we need to find other ways that we can, in between our rides, train our brain for like the correct muscle memory and patterns. And that's my favorite part of Rider Position Blueprint, is that it's that both things. So we help you with your rider position in the saddle, and then we also give you all the fitness exercises that I designed with a physical therapist, but they're very specific for your riding. So, all right, I see some of you are leaning to the left. Yeah, crookedness, any type of crookedness is really important to address out of the saddle as well. Looking down, yes, same thing. I look down, and I always try when I'm working out to make sure that I'm looking up. Okay, but here is my exercise. Or do you have something you want to say before I start, Joellen?
I do, which is Amelia and I and many of the people we work with have had this same experience, which is the exercises that we do to ride better are often the exercises that a physical therapist will prescribe for you. And I think that's because you have to be straight, you have to have good posture, you have to be symmetrical on a horse. So,
okay, I'm going to highlight myself for a moment. So this first exercise is one of the first ones that I did with my physical therapist after I had back surgery earlier this year. This exercise is for you. So who here has a hollow back? Like who here rides like this, where your butt kind of goes out behind and your back is arched like this? And this is bad for two reasons. Number one is because your horse is your mirror. So if your back is hollow and your butt's out behind you, guess what? Your horse's back is going to be hollow and their butt's going to be out behind them. This is also really bad because when you're bouncing on your horse, if your back is hollow like this, it's going to be compressing your vertebrae. So I had a herniated disc in my back, which is partially probably caused by genetics, but also by like the fact that I go like this because I'm not engaging my core, right? So a really good way that you can work on this feeling is that you are going to lay down. So if you have space to do this, please lay down on your back. Hopefully you can all hear me. Let me know if you can't hear me. And okay, good. You can see me. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're just going to put your knees up like this. And you'll probably feel when you first lay down, like I feel my shoulders and I feel my tailbone, but I can slide my hand under my mid back. Like my back is hollow here. I don't have any pressure on my lower back. So what you want to do is you want to breathe. So breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, and then rotate your pelvis under, and you're going to press into your back, into your hand, and really try to push like with a lot of force onto your hand. And what you'll feel is you feel that you have to tip your pelvis and bring your pelvis closer to your belly button. And you'll really start to feel your core engage. And this is the feeling that you want to have when you're riding. This is going to help you to tuck your seat under and get your core to engage. Do you have anything to add, Joellen?
I think one of the ways we cheat is that we stop breathing and we hold our breath. So when you're riding and when you're doing this exercise, it's really important to breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out.
And I would recommend like hold it, like really push into your hand for 5 to 10 seconds and then release. And then really push into your hand. And there's a lot of variations that you can do. Like you can start by, lifting your legs up, holding your legs up and doing the same thing, doing little toe taps. Like there's so many different variations, but this is just a really good way to feel like your whole core engaging and bringing your pelvis more underneath of you, because when we're riding, we want our seat bones to be pointing straight down into the saddle. And if your back is arched or hollow, then your seat bones are pointing out to the back. So there's so many exercises that you can literally just do, on your floor in your living room. I'm in my riding clothes because I'm going to the barn. But I don't know about you, but I definitely feel my core engage when I do that. And that's the feeling that you need to have when you're riding. So if you can mimic and feel that, then when you get on and your trainer says engage your core, at least you kind of know the feeling that you want to have. So that's the first exercise. Joellen has a little bit of a progression on to the next exercise. So let me zoom in on you, Joellen, here.
So one of the things Amelia said in a ride along podcast that helped me enormously is that when you post, you should post, do your pelvic tilt, and then point your seat bones back down into the saddle. And that was such a good revelation and a way for me to keep doing the pelvic tilt. So you should actually tilt your pelvis and then post down to get those seat bones down straight into the saddle. Okay, so here's the variation. You can stand, and if you have a place that it works, you want to be able to put your hands against a wall, or here's a bookcase. I have done this in some of my lectures where you just sit in your chair and you put your hands against your desk. By putting your hands against something, it allows you to tighten your core. So I'm going to go through all the basics. I want you standing with your knees at least hip width or horse width apart. I want your knees bent. Then I want you to tilt your pelvis. Push your hands into a wall. Slide your shoulder blades down. Breathe in and out and push a little bit. These are your forward hands when you're riding. It's that push and breathing out where you feel the tone in your body. So you breathe in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. And it's really important that during all of this, you're breathing in and out. So we all have the habit of holding our breath, which is like a fake tone in your body. So Amelia's going to demonstrate her
So you
feet.
want to think about your alignment the same as in the saddle, right? Ear, shoulder, hip, heel. Tuck your butt under you like you felt on the ground, right? So you're engaging that core. And then this is actually what we got this from Mary Wanless. We had Mary Wanless as a guest speaker in Strides. Let us know in the chat if you loved that talk. But one thing that's hard with riding is finding the right amount of tone in your body, because you don't want to be stiff, but you also don't want to flop around like a sack of potatoes, and you need to absorb the movement of your horse. So a good way to feel that tone is you get in your riding position, your elbows are bent, you have your alignment, and then you're going to push your knuckles into a wall. And it's also mimicking that feeling of those forward feeling hands. But when you push your knuckles into the wall, you'll feel all your core engaged. Like you'll feel this all stabilize. And like Joellen said, remember to breathe while you do this. But even just like holding this position, this is your half halt, right? That's like the feeling that you need to have in your body anytime that you're going to do a downward transition, or you need to ride a little bit of that rebalancing half halt. That is the feeling of tone and connection. And it really is like riding is all about your seat. It's all about your core. That's what we talked about in the independent seat webinar. And so the more that in your day-to-day life or when you're exercising that you can focus on toning your core and your seat. Like when I work out, I pretty much do only legs and core. I don't do a lot of upper body. What about you?
It's pretty much the same, because you realize how strong you need to be through your legs and your core. And what I was also going to say is, so Amelia, go back into that position where you're with the chair. And what I want riders, when you're in the saddle and you've got your seat bones and your pubic bone, lean a little bit forward, Amelia. Okay, so when she leans forward, see how her seat bones come out of the saddle? Now lean back a little bit. And now you can see there's more weight on her pubic bone. That angle is really important, that you get that you're not leaning back and you're not tilting forward too much. And you're doing this in motion with the horse. So the rider position information is huge to how your horse goes, whether it's on the forehand or whether it's collecting and using its hind legs. So it's really interesting how much our body affects our horses.
Yeah. And the other thing that's huge for your fitness is asymmetry, because when we ride, we want our horses to be straight and we need to be straight. And so the more that you can be, first of all, you have to become aware of it, right? Become aware of where you're crooked, and then figure out how you need to modify and like which exercises to do to help you become straighter and more symmetrical. And I know you struggle a bit with your straightness and symmetry. Well, we all do.
Yeah, we all do. It's collapsing to one side is a common problem. I collapse to the right. Amelia, do you collapse through your rib cage?
To the right.
To the right. And
Yeah.
so it's really important to get that straight, because collapsing to the right affects how our horse feels our seat bones, and then it affects their direction and how they're going. So getting straight helps you in your regular life, and it helps you ride better.
Oh, there's a good question about breathing. Should the breath come down into your belly or only in your chest? Yes, it should come into, you should let yourself get chubby when you breathe. You don't want to hold your tummy in, you want to let your belly puff out.
One of the things breathing deeply does is it lowers your center of gravity, and lowering your center of gravity gives you more stability in the saddle. So it's really important to breathe down into your belly and expand your belly button out and in as you breathe.
Yeah. And breathing, it's so important in riding. We talked about that yesterday in the webinar, but breathing helps you to relax. I mean, first and foremost, it has a psychological effect of helping you to relax. And also your horse can sense if you're holding your breath. And I've had horses that will hold their breath and then like all of a sudden they'll like sneeze and breathe. And we want our horses to breathe. It's not good when they hold their breath. So we need to breathe. And then when you breathe, it also helps your body to relax. Like even now, if you hold your breath, you feel everything tighten, right? And so that's why breathing is important. But breathing, when done correctly and you really do that exhale, it engages your core, it engages your transverse abs. So wasn't that like something that they recently discovered about how breathing actually helps you to engage your core more?
Yeah, breathing is really important, and you're closing your transverse abdominals to breathe out. Your diaphragm has to actually go up. But here's a quiz for the chat. And this still happens to me. I'll be trotting around in a circle and trotting around again. And then I'm like out of breath. And I'm like, oh, I'm out of breath because I stopped breathing. So if you have a hard time regulating your breath or noticing that you're really out of breath, you're likely not breathing. So that's a good check-in point to go, oh, I need to breathe really deeply in and out. And Amelia, you're very good about breathing in for 3 or 4 strides and breathing out for 4 or 5 strides. That's a good exercise you have in there.
Yeah, and counting is really helpful because you should already be counting your horse's rhythm. That's a really great way to get more in sync with your horse. So if you're trotting, it's going to be like 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you just breathe and count with that rhythm. And of course, how many steps you breathe in and out for, a little bit varies on your fitness level, right? Because riding is a sport, it's an athletic endeavor. So as you ride more and more, your heart rate's going to increase, your breathing rate is going to increase, which is normal. But you always want to try to breathe out for more counts than you breathe in. So it's going to breathe in 2, 3, out 2, 3, 4, 5, and then don't hyperventilate. I've, with those audio coaching devices now, we can hear, like if you have the 2-way, I can hear you breathing when I'm teaching. And I've had some students that are like hyperventilating, like they're breathing so fast. And I'm like, okay, can you try to slow down your breathing a little bit? And then that helps them to relax, because if you're hyperventilating, then that's going to like make you tense. And your horse is also going to be like, what's going on? Should I be scared? Why are you hyperventilating? So breath is super important. Yeah. So let us know in the chat if you're going to go out and do a little bit of fitness today, or maybe you're going to be able to ride your horse. I see Nicole says she's got a bunch of water buckets and moving hay today. So good for you, Nicole. It is, I think that's part of what I love about the horses and the lifestyle, is it does keep you active. It gives you a reason to get out in the freezing cold and do the chores and all of that. But I do encourage you to always be mindful in everything you're doing. Like Nicole, while you're moving those water buckets today, make sure you bend your knees, engage your core, try to be as straight as possible. Like, for example, when you're even grooming your horse, can you do it with both hands? When you're shoveling the manure, you know how you always do it like from one side, like you have a dominant side that you like to shovel? Can you shovel the manure in both directions, even if it takes longer? Because that's going to help to develop more symmetry in your body. All right. Well, I'm going to go to the barn because I have a bunch of barn chores to do and no groom. But I hope that give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this. And if you haven't yet, check out the webinar from yesterday on the independent seat. We had a lot of great takeaways there. And thank you, Joanne. Do you have any final words?
No, I think it is so great to be part of this community and an honor to work with you, Amelia. And it all makes us all healthier and aware of our environment and how to communicate with the animals. I have a new puppy, and training animals is so interesting and so important. So she's well behaved. So have a wonderful day. And it's been a wonderful week of being grateful, Amelia.
Thank you, everyone.